Mom's laughter still echoes in my head, sharp, cruel, and rehearsed. "We're in Europe with your sister," she said. "She wanted us there. Her fiancé's family is important." Important? I suppose I wasn't. My wedding day, the day I thought would unite everyone, became a quiet funeral for my illusions. Rows of empty seats stared back at me like open graves. My groom stood by the altar, nervous but unaware of the storm inside me. I excused myself, stepped outside, and called one last time. "Why bother?" my sister's voice cut through the phone. "You'll be divorced soon anyway." I didn't reply. I just took a photo, me in my white dress standing beside the guest they'd least expect. Then I sent it, to Mom, to my sister, to the family group chat, and I waited. The first call came in 30 seconds, then another, then 10 more. I smiled, turned off my phone, and walked down the aisle. I used to believe family was sacred, that no matter how far apart we grew, love would be the invisible thread holding us together. My sister, Alina, was my best friend once. We shared secrets, clothes, and dreams. When she got engaged last year, I planned her entire wedding, the decor, the dress, even the guest list. But when it was my turn, everything changed. It started with small things. My mother's disapproval of my fiancé, Adam. "Too quiet," she said, "not ambitious enough." Alina called him boring. I laughed it off then, naive enough to think jealousy was a passing storm, until I overheard them one night. Alina's voice through the phone, low and venomous. "She's marrying him just to prove she can. He'll never fit in." Mom's reply, "Don't worry, it won't last." That was 6 months before the wedding. I said nothing, because silence, when used right, is sharper than any blade. I started watching them the way they used to watch me, quietly, carefully. Every accidental missed call, every forgotten invitation, every whispered conversation. Then the Europe trip appeared out of nowhere, booked the same week as my wedding. A coincidence, they said. Sure. When the truth stops hurting, it starts instructing. That's when I began planning. I didn't want revenge in the form of shouting or tears. I wanted precision. I wanted them to feel small, the way they made me feel my whole life. That's when I called my father. My parents divorced when I was 9. He left after years of fighting with Mom. For 2 decades, I'd heard her version of the story, that he was selfish, irresponsible, unworthy of us. But when I called him that night, he sounded surprised, not guilty. We met for coffee. He looked older, softer, and for the first time, I heard his side. Mom had hidden my letters to him, told him I didn't want to see him, told me he never wrote back. She'd rewritten history, turned love into abandonment. When I showed him the wedding invitation, his eyes glistened. "I'd be honored," he whispered. And so, the guest was chosen. The morning of the wedding, I told Adam everything. The betrayal, the lies, the years of manipulation. He listened, jaw tight, eyes burning. Then he nodded. "Do it your way." So when Mom laughed and my sister mocked, I didn't react. I just took the photo. Me standing next to Dad, arm around him, both of us smiling. The caption read, "Walking down the aisle with the man who actually raised me." I sent it, then muted their calls. By the time I reached the altar, I could feel my phone buzzing relentlessly in my clutch. But for the first time in years, I felt weightless. Dad kissed my forehead before handing me over. "You did the right thing," he whispered. I looked at Adam, steady, patient, and knew this wasn't just a wedding. It was reclamation. When I finally checked my phone that evening, there were 23 missed calls, 9 voicemails, and 1 long text from Mom. "How could you humiliate us like that?" I laughed. Funny how truth feels like humiliation to those who've lived on lies. They came back from Europe 2 weeks later. Alina posted glamorous photos online, captions about family unity and gratitude. None of them mentioned me. So I gave them something to talk about. A local newspaper ran a small piece about my wedding, a charity-driven event that raised funds for children's education. My father's foundation sponsored it. His photo, our photo, was on the front page. Suddenly, everyone remembered my name. Mom tried calling again. We need to talk. But there was nothing left to say. I didn't need an apology. I needed distance. And distance, finally, was mine. Sometimes I replay that moment. Me in white, Dad beside me, the sound of my phone buzzing like a dying insect. It wasn't revenge in the loud cinematic sense. It was cleaner, quieter. They thought they'd erased him from my life. They thought I'd walk down the aisle alone. But I found the missing piece of my family and left them to choke on their own absence. I don't regret turning off my phone that day.